Eating meat is a dominant eating habit in Western countries, with meals generally made around meat. The tradition of eating meat makes diet highly resistant to change. Eating meat becomes a way of preserving an individual's sense of self, reaffirming one's cultural identity. Eating is a major social activity with the sharing of food, meat in particular, providing a community building function, cementing bonds between people. The excessive consumption of meat reflects the dominant Western worldview that regards humanity as superior to nature. Animals are considered a potential resource to be utilized, existing for the sake of material and economic growth. They are essential for such progress. There are three main reasons why people go vegan: ethics, health, environment. Vegans refuse to be part of a system that uses, abuses, tortures, and kills billions of animals each year, and view the unnecessary use and consumption of non-human animals and their byproducts. Hormones and antibiotics used in industrial meat production and excess meat consumption also affects human health. Nowadays, plant-based eating is recognized as not only nutritionally sufficient, but also as a way to reduce the risk of many chronic illnesses. According to the American Dietetic Association, appropriately planned vegetarian diets, including total vegetarian or vegan diets, are healthful, nutritionally adequate, and may provide health benefits in the prevention and treatment of certain diseases. Hundreds of studies suggest that eating lots of fruits and vegetables can reduce the risk of developing certain cancers, and there is evidence that vegetarians have a lower incidence of cancer than non-vegetarians do. Type 2 diabetes. Research suggests that a predominantly plant-based diet can reduce the risk for type 2 diabetes. In studies of Seventh-day Adventists, vegetarians' risk of developing diabetes was half that of non-vegetarians, even after taking BMI into account. There is some evidence that vegetarians have a lower risk for cardiac events such as heart attack and death from cardiac causes. In one of the largest studies, a combined analysis of data from 5 prospective studies involving more than 76,000 participants, vegetarians were, on average, 25% less likely to die of heart disease. The production of meat and other animal products is a heavy burden on the environment. When we talk about the impacts of animal agriculture, we have to consider all the resources used in their production. This includes the grains grown in order to feed the animals and the resources used to grow them. Animal agriculture water consumption ranges from 128 trillion and 287 trillion liters annually. In the United States specifically, 5% of water use is domestic and 55% goes into animal agriculture. The exact amount varies from animal to animal and can fluctuate depending on the size of the animal and the environment. But, for example, a dairy cow will drink up to 112 liters of water a day. The United States Geological Survey estimates that it takes somewhere between 15,000 and 68,000 liters of water to produce a hamburger, depending on how the cows are raised. On average, 44% of total water abstraction in Europe is used for agriculture. In addition to water use, another resource that livestock commands is space. Currently, livestock covers 45% of the Earth's total land, and 1/3 of land is desertified due to livestock. This means that the land is chronically degraded, which causes a loss of soil productivity and water absorption. The vast amount of grain feed required for meat production is a significant contributor to deforestation, habitat loss, and species extinction. Each year, 13 billion hectares of forest area are lost due to land conversion for agricultural uses, for both food and livestock feed crop production. Livestock and their byproducts account for at least 32,000 million tons of carbon dioxide per year, or 51% of all worldwide greenhouse gas emissions. Livestock is responsible for 65% of all human-related emissions of nitrous oxide, a greenhouse gas with 296 times the global warming potential of carbon dioxide and which stays in the atmosphere for 150 years. Emissions for agriculture are projected to increase 80% by 2050. Even without fossil fuels, we will exceed our 565 gigatons carbon dioxide limit by 2030, all from raising animals. Our planet is now in the midst of its sixth mass extinction of plants and animals. We are currently experiencing the worst spate of species die-offs since the loss of dinosaurs 65 million years ago. Although extinction is a natural phenomenon, it occurs at a natural background rate of about 1 to 5 species per year. Scientists estimate we are now losing species at 1,000 to 10,000 times the background rate, with literally dozens going extinct every day. 30 to 50% of all species possibly heading toward extinction by 2050. Unlike past mass extinctions caused by events like asteroid strikes, volcanic eruptions, and natural climate shifts, the current crisis is almost entirely caused by us, humans. In fact, 99% of currently threatened species are at risk from human activities. Frogs, toads, and salamanders are disappearing because of habitat loss, water and air pollution, climate change, and disease. Globally, BirdLife International estimates that 12% of known bird species are now considered threatened, with 2% facing an extremely high risk of extinction in the wild. About 90% of primates live in tropical forests, which are fast disappearing. Almost 50% of the world's primate species are at risk of extinction. Half the globe's known mammals are declining in population, and a fifth are clearly at risk of disappearing forever. In addition to primates, marine mammals, including several species of whales and dolphins, are among those mammals slipping most quickly toward extinction. Richard Branson on veganism. I believe we will look back and be shocked at what was the accepted way we killed animals for food. I think in the future clean and plant-based meat will become the norm, and in 30 years it is unlikely animals will need to be killed for food anymore. It is no surprise that the meat and dairy substitutes industry is predicted to be worth $40 billion by 2020. To have big-name investors such as Richard Branson believing that in as little as 30 years' time, the practice of the meat industry that we know today could be eradicated is a big step in the right direction to ending the cruelty of meat trade.